Good morning, friend. SIPS Act equity stake analysis government invest in semiconductor companies. Executive summary that is reportedly considering a significant equity stakes in semiconductor companies in exchange for federal grants. This development represents a major departure from traditional grant-based funding models and could fundamentally alter the relationship between the US government and the semiconductor industries. Equity initiative. What prompted the Trump administration to consider equity takes over traditional grants? How would it being considered for equity arrangement? What are the legal mechanisms for converting SIPS equity position? How would government ownership impact Intel global market? What precedent does company competing capacity? How might shareholders react to potential government rights? Would the government seek as a major shareholder other nations? Would the equity stakes give the government in company ownership? How might this affect Intel relationship in the future? What safeguards would prevent political interference? How might this affect chip companies? Private capital? Could government ownership create conflict position? How would this approach affect the competitors, taxpayers through equity ownership? How might this influence supply chain and domestic manufacturing? Could equity arrangements include representation for government appointees? What happens to government stakes if companies face financial funding? Could this approach be extended to other company ownership? How would this affect chip companies' global extent timelines? How might this approach affect the competitive landscape for chip development? Could equity arrangements including performance milestones or exit strategies? How might this affect trends? How would government ownership affect companies? Into storage, what are the implications for international trade agreements and semiconductor exports? How might this affect the development of next generation chip technologies? What are the potential effects on semiconductor manufacturing equity? How would this approach align with broader this? Could equity arrangements including technology sharing? What are the implications for chip companies, international giant venture? How might this affect the timeline for achieve the domestic semiconductor self-sufficiency? Could government ownership influence chip pricing and availability for US customers? What lessons can be drawn from government analyze this of the latest development? US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is looking into the government taking equity stakes in Intel has significant shift in federal semiconductor policy. The key developments including current situation, the Trump administration is considering taking a 10% stake in Intel, but would make the US government Intel largest shareholder. Lutnick has the equity idea with source indicating that Trump like broader scope. This is not limited to Intel alone. The SIPS and global funder is strategic reasonable This is the part of efforts to rescue the embedded a comprehensive, analyze artificial artifact about that, including the requested hashtag. This development could reshape the relationship between government and the semi. 25 key industry keywords. Semiconductor Science Act 52.7 billion federal position in private companies. Intel Corporation primary target for potential 10% government ownership. Commerce Secretary diving equity initiative. Taiwan Semiconductor TSMC major recipients act funding. Samsung Electronics International Chipmaker receiving US governmental grants, federal grants. Mechanism being converted to equity. National security strategic rational for supply chain resilience goal of foundry operation advanced semiconductor manufacturing facilities. Vapor manufacturing essential process in semiconductor policy. Government strategy to support strategy industries. Technology transfer, movement of innovation between organizations. Position related to international chip producers, manufacturing capacity, ability to scale, research and development, innovation, investment in next generation technologies, strategic industry sectors critical to national economic and security interests. Deployment in private companies, shareholders dilution, reduction in exiting ownership percentages. Agreements affecting semiconductor industry, innovation ecosystem, network of companies, research, economy, sovereignty, national control over critical industrial capability. Please like, subscribe and comment. This is Chip Act Impact Equity and SIPs. Please like, subscribe and comment.